our guest speaker. She is a superstar diamond coach. She's a 6-time elite coach. Last year, she was the 2018 CEO award recipient. She is a former coach advisory board member. She is let's put it this way. She speaks her mind. She'll let you know how she's feeling. She does that emotionally and with power. She's an attorney, former attorney, so she's seen the light. So she's well versed in the art of discussion. Let's put it that way, in advocacy. 91 months in Success Club. When Kristine Delgado speaks, we listen and we pay attention and sometimes kind of sit back too. So hopefully everyone's going to be leaning into this call and listening and picking up everything that you have to say. Kristine, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Jeff. That was quite the introduction.
Yeah, I mean, I started to say all those things. I started to have post-traumatic. I started to go, no, the reality coaches. I mean, obviously, Kristine and I are having a little bit of fun here, but Kristine is a passionate coach, and she loves this network, and she's a strong advocate, and was a strong advocate for the coaches, and what that means, and how we as a company can do better. And she's always been a strong voice, and much appreciated. So. But Kristine, and I can see you've got your elite stuff in the back. You've got that Andy Warhol picture back there. I was disappointed you're not wearing your elite suit from last year. I'm not even sure what we call those, but anyway, you're still wearing red, so it works. Mm-hmm. But for those that don't know you, you've been in the business now for 8 years. Let's go back, rewind in time a little bit, and talk about how you became a coach, and then we're going to get into the real meat of this call, and your 8 years of experience coalesced into these few moments that newer coaches and older coaches can learn from.
Absolutely. I love sharing my story. So I came into the business 8 years ago, like Jeff just said. At the time, I had a 2-year-old Marley and a 4-month-old DJ, and I was a lawyer at a big Miami law firm. I was practicing medical malpractice, and that's a ton of fun. At the same time, and I always say this, from the outside looking in at that time of our lives, you would think that my husband, Danny, and I had it all. I had a great career. We had 2 beautiful, healthy children, a home. But in reality, we were drowning in debt, losing our home. I had the worst eating habits. I definitely can challenge Carl in his eating like a kindergartner at the time. I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, which I just recently had the courage to start sharing in the hopes that other people quit smoking. Drinking coffee just to get to lunchtime, then binge eating at lunchtime. And so I was a mess, both financially. I was a mess in the way I looked and felt. And it was around this time, just a few months before that, that I saw my sister, Becky Brose. She's also a coach and fantastic leader in the network. She had borrowed P90X from our best friend, Elaine. And I saw her get in amazing shape at home, and at the same time had 2 little ones and a demanding job as well. And, it always sounds cliche to say that if she could do it, I can do it. But I truly did feel that way, watching her go through this process of P90X and then insanity, and kind of get her identity back through fitness. And so I decided to join her, but limited that joining, because I was a very skeptical lawyer at the time, to Shakeology. I knew that I could do that. It was easy to do, and I could commit to that shake every single day. And so I did that, and almost immediately felt the change within the way I felt, my energy levels, started losing weight, started feeling good, and actually started getting motivated to start exercising. And when she asked me to sign up for coaching, I jumped at it simply to get the discount, right? I didn't really want to work the business. I didn't think I had the time to do that. Obviously skeptical about network marketing businesses based on past experiences at those weird home parties that people invite you to. And I didn't want to do any of that, but I did want to save some money. So I came on board, and then she asked me to go to an event with her. And I think back to that moment, because at this point, I didn't have a stellar start to my business. The first bag of Shakeology that I sold was returned. So if you're sitting here watching this call and having a similar experience or kind of feeling frustrated, like, just look at my story as hope that that's not your future if you don't quit, right? If you keep on pushing through. So I went to this event probably to get a free lunch from my sister, but I sat there at Super Saturday. In fact, it was the first Super Saturday, listened, soaked up the success stories that I was hearing that were blowing my mind, both on from the physical standpoint as well from the business standpoint. And that was January 2011. I hit Success Club for the first time in February 2011. And it's been, like you said, 91 months since that day that I've been in Success Club.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of time. And 91 months, that's absolute 91, 93 months.
I don't know. It's in between.
Anyway,
there.
90 plus months. Which is, yeah, 90, we'll split the difference here. But that's absolutely remarkable. And, you know, as we talk about that, people will look and go, oh, they kind of fast forward to right now. But they always want to know, you know, my business, it seems like it's moving slowly, not quite taking off. And I don't know that there's always a moment that it just takes off, the light is, you know, the switch is flipped. But for you, was there a catalyst, or was there something where you started to notice, and looking back at least, where it started to take off? You have the luxury now of putting things into perspective of that. What would you share about when your business took off?
I mean, you're absolutely right. I don't think there was a moment that I can say, aha, it was that day or that conversation that really got the ball rolling for me. But when I do look back over the course of the 8 years, you know, events played a huge role in the kind of compound effect building of my business. But I'll never forget attending my first summit. I really do believe that that was the turning point where I started to see this business as something much more powerful than what I had been experiencing thus far for me. I understood that the business could create success and could change lives. But at that point, I was literally doing probably the bare minimum just to collect a paycheck. And then I go to Summit, and 100% honesty, you guys, transparent here. I felt like a super small fish in a big pond. And that's when summits weren't even that big. They were in Vegas, but I soaked it in, and I didn't feel like retreating. I felt like really embracing and allowing myself at that time to have a vision, a bigger vision for my life than I had ever thought was possible. It was really Summit that did that for me. And when I went to Summit and I came home, I realized that the version of myself that predated Summit was not the same version that would make me successful in this business. And so it was around that time that I bought into the concept of personal development. Before that, had been skeptical about, you know, quote unquote self-help. I didn't think I really needed much, but boy, did I. I invested in my first live personal development event. Actually, it was Amy Silverman that kind of pushed me in that direction, and I will never be the same again. It was something that transformed the way I thought, allowed me to dream big, allowed me to believe in myself, not believe in just for other people's success, but that I too could be successful at this business. And it really started to create waves within our organization, Diesel Nation. And that's when the business kind of shifted for me. And, you know, it's been an awesome 8 years. And during the 8 years that I've been a coach, I've been able to do a few presentations for coaches, both at events and national wake-up calls. But it was at this past summit that was such a beautiful and important summit for the network that I had the opportunity to speak to the leaders of the network. And it got really good feedback. And I knew that I wanted to share the message with all the coaches of the network, because it really has been, and what I'm going to share with you guys today, what has helped me continuously grow my business. You know, I shared this at Summit that my goal has never been to be the best coach or the biggest Beachbody business. While that's nice and it's fantastic for those that do that, all I wanted was a business that kept growing. And one that when I looked back, that I could be proud of, that my kids could be proud of. And so what did I do? I started looking at my business, said, okay, what is it about my business that has kept that kind of upward trajectory in growth, in team growth, in leadership growth? And I came up with this concept of renovating. You want to continuously renovate your business. And it's something that I've always done. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. And so I use the analogy of your home. You know, we just experienced a home renovation over the course of the last 3 years. And even though it's a pain while you're in it. And I bet if I was on the live chat right now, looking at everybody commenting, and I said, you know, raise your hand if you've undergone a home renovation, like 99% of people have gone through one or maybe experienced that at their parents' house. And during the process of renovating, it's not easy and it could be challenging. And but at the same time, if I were to ask you what you felt like after you were done renovating, I'm sure it would be a great feeling, right? You're happy in your new home, you're happy in your new bedroom, kitchen, and all that. So I want to take that concept of renovating and put it into our businesses, because for me, and the way that I see this, our business is like our home, right? And just like in your house, you always have to be giving it TLC, right? Tender loving care, in order for the walls to stay clean and the AC to keep running and all the things that you need to do to keep your household moving forward. I want you to take that same kind of mindset into your business, always looking at the landscape of your business and saying, where do I need to improve? What do I need to adjust in order to grow my business? You know, if you're saying things like, and this is the truth bomb that I need to lay on everyone. If you say things like, this is the way I've always done it, or this is how my upline taught me, so this is how it's done, or this is what I'm doing, then you really need to take a look at your strategies in some of these areas that I'm going to highlight. And you know, if I were to take a day, I could go through pretty much my whole business and say, this is how I renovate in each of these areas. But for today's purposes, I want to highlight the 3 that I think are most important for a new coach coming into the business that wants to grow a business, right? And those 3 rooms, you know, I like to call them rooms because I want you to envision this exercise as your house and going through all the different rooms of your house. And the main room, right? Like my kitchen is my new like crowning joy of my house. I just underwent huge renovation in it. I consider that the center of my home. Well, the center of your business is your mindset. So I'm going to talk to you about mindset first and primarily because that's where the most renovation always has to be done in order to stay in the game. The second room that I'm going to talk to you about is social media. And then the last room that I want to highlight for you guys is inviting, which I'm sure everybody gets on the national wake-up call and wants to know what's the secret sauce when it comes to inviting. Well, we'll get there in a second, but let's start with mindset. Your mindset, like I said, is the center of your business. It's the center of your home. And one time I read a quote that said, a team is not limited by its members, it's limited by its leader. And I want to repeat that again. A team is not limited by its members, it's limited by its leader. Now that was a huge sucker punch to my stomach when I heard that, because for a long time I realized that my mindset was kind of limiting not only my potential, but limiting that of my own team. And so maybe some of you don't consider yourselves to be leaders right now, but I want you to understand that your mindset in this business, whether you're a brand new coach or you're a seasoned veteran, that it is, number 1, can be your biggest asset, and number 2, can be your biggest adversary. Right? And so you need to be cognizant and self-aware when you need to shake things up when it comes to your mindset. And of course, I'm going to talk to you about personal development, but it's more than that, right? And so what are the things that you need to be aware of when you need to shake things up or renovate your mindset? Well, first of all, you have to understand.
Hey, Kristine, I'm going to keep you on track here because we've got about 12 minutes. So I just want you to go through your content with that in mind, okay?
Sure.
You've got great content. So sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So when we talk about your mindset, I want everyone to understand on the call that your success is really limited by your own thinking, right? The moment that you can understand a few things about your business, number 1, that it's you really and your own personal growth that dictates the trajectory of your business and the success of that business. But you also have to understand something else, you guys, and I need everyone to really pay attention. This business, knowing what I know now, 8 years in, and also experiencing the success of my team and those in the network that I'm friends with and see them thriving, This business should not be easy. It should not be a walk in the park. There's gonna take work that is going to be required of you in order to grow this business. So what is it that I want you to do in renovating your mindset so that you build that muscle? You have got to build a stronger mindset in order to take yourself and then your business to the next level. The first one is taking a look at what you're doing for personal development. Right? And you know, it's not just reading a book. It's not just checking off that you did 10 minutes of PD from your daily checklist every single day. I find myself sometimes going into a state of monotony with personal development, and I realize when it's not serving me and my goals, and I shake things up, you know, with podcasts and all these amazing books, new books that are out, and live PD events, and even church, right? Like churches are becoming rock concerts right now where they lift you up. Realize when you need to change. The second thing is to get into a state of gratitude. And this is really, really, really important. And it's actually something that I had to do recently when I felt myself going into a slump in my mindset. And I want to read this quote that's important for you to kind of embrace how important gratitude is in your life. And it says, gratitude is one of the most powerful human emotions. Once expressed, it changes your attitude, brightens your outlook, and broadens your perspective. And so when you are feeling like you are falling into a few things, I'm going to highlight that in just a second, where your mindset is going into kind of a dark place and you feel like retreating, you have to express your gratitude in terms of your life, in terms of your business, and what you get to do every single day, because it will renovate the way that you're thinking. It will renovate your actions that you're taking, and it really will get you to move forward. And then the last thing, and pay attention here, and Jeff used it already in the call, it's the concept of leaning in. I see so many amazing coaches come into the network and my team with so much potential. Yet they stumble and they basically take their business to a screeching halt whenever that first challenge appears in their life, that struggle. They get too busy, something happens, and it goes from working the business, being productive, to zero. And I want to caution you about that. That's absolutely the worst thing that you could do. And I know it's common sense, but here's why. When you lean in to the challenges, the inevitable challenges that you're going to experience in growing this business, that's when you have the breakthroughs. Those are the stories that you see on stage at Summit, right? When someone comes up and says, I went through this storm and I fought through, and now look at me and look at the business that I built and look how I've changed my family's life. It's because they didn't retreat. They leaned in and they learned and they grew. And those are the lessons that eventually you start teaching your team. So if you find yourself retreating from social media, hiding from your team or your coach, not following a nutrition plan, not working out, being really negative, or getting into a scarcity mindset, I'm urging you really to do these things, right? Change up your PD, get into a state of gratitude, and learn how to lean in. All right. Switching gears, let's talk about social media. And this is one of those areas where you really always have to be looking at the landscape of what's going on and being comfortable with the fact that you will have to change every once in a while. And, this happened to me real recently. I'm just going to share a story because I think it might resonate with a lot of you that feel like you don't know how to change things up in your social media. Well, and people from my team know this. About a year and a half ago, I resisted and was so stubborn with having to do Instagram stories. I know now I love it and I do it every single day. But a year and a half ago, I would look at Snapchat and Instagram stories and I would I literally would say, I'm not going to do that. There's no way. I don't want to have to be on 24 hours a day. It just seems so overwhelming to me. And at that point, I was like, my business is fine. It's great. I still have my customers coming in and I have my child and my coaches coming in. I'm not doing Instagram stories. Well, so what was I being? Completely uncoachable. I go to leadership last year and it was like the biggest smack in the face to me because every coach, one after the other, was getting on stage and saying, you guys get on Instagram stories. It's so good. And so I had to make a choice. I was either going to renovate and continue growing my business, or I was going to be stubborn. I was going to be uncoachable, and I was going to say, I'm not doing it. And I'm just going to try to do things the way I've always done them. Red flag, red flag. That's when you really need to change, right? And so what did I do? Instead of, hiring some crazy consultant, no, I just studied the coaches in the network that I relate to that are doing great on Instagram stories. And I started becoming a student. I didn't compare myself, because once we remove the labels of comparison and say, well, look how great she is, or look how great he is, and I'm not there yet, and she has so many followers. When you remove all that noise, all that junk, and just learn from other people, you'll see how just minor adjustments can really change the game. And so I want to ask you guys these questions. And these are the questions that when we get off this call, you're going to ask yourself and say, can I change things up to be more effective? And the first question is, am I providing content that is valuable to my followers, right? To my followers. Is my content fun and engaging? Can I improve the aesthetics of my social media pages, both Instagram and Facebook, so that it flows and doesn't look messy? Is my message congruent with my actions on social media? Am I being a trust builder or a trust breaker, right? You have to build trust with your audience. So are you doing what you're preaching, right? Is that what's happening? And number 5, and really important, is, am I innovating on how to gain new followers and engaging with my prospects on social media? So self-evaluate and ask yourself those questions. All right. And lastly, I'm sure Jeff has me on the clock here, is the notion of inviting. And, people crave what we do. I mean, use the chat, blow it up, and tell me what you love about Beachbody. And I bet if today you were to make a comprehensive list of all the things in the past, in the present, and what you're going to experience in the future about Beachbody and what you love about this journey, you would think it would be crazy not to invite everybody, right? Not to share with everybody how freaking awesome it is to work out at home, drink Shakeology, and have this business opportunity help you build a part-time business, right? I'm pretty certain that that's the case. However, when it comes to inviting, I feel like that's the one where most people have the most fear in doing it, let alone renovating it. And the reason why, and I guess it's because I've been in the business a long time, and so I know the sentiments around inviting and why people are so scared to change things up, is because you fear you're going to make a mistake. You feel like you're going to say something wrong, do something wrong, and you're going to lose a customer or potentially lose a coach. And guess what? That might happen, right? Because this whole business, my business, 8 years in, 6-time elite, all that crazy, amazing things has been built on trial and error. It's not a proven formula how to be successful in this business. It is not science. It is literally trying new things every day to see what works. And when it stops working, I have to self-evaluate. I have to be self-aware and say, what can I do to change things up? And so I become a super sleuth, right? I just spit out myself. I become a super sleuth instead of retreating, instead of saying, this isn't for me and I can't do this, and becoming a negative Nelly, I say, how can I be a problem solver? I mean, just imagine if Apple, back in the day when the Macintosh flopped, they shut their doors. Like, think about that. Like, you don't want to shut your doors. You innovate and you figure things out. So what do I ask myself when inviting starts to not be as effective for me than in the past? I ask myself, are my call to actions clear and specific as to who, what, when, why, how I'm starting this challenge group or this coaching sneak peek? Am I sharing relatable stories, right? Not being me, look at me, I'm so fantastic, oh my gosh. No, am I sharing relatable stories where I am completely vulnerable to my audience about how I changed my life and inspiring them to change their life, right? In both fitness and business. Am I engaging enough with my prospects, or am I posting and running? Am I rushing through my emails and messages, or am I really taking the time to get to know my customers and their needs? can I have a more energetic tone in the way I communicate? Or am I just going through the motions? And I find myself doing that quite often. And I have to realize that's it's causing a disservice to who I'm speaking to. Am I being sincere in my approach, right? Is it just for those successful points, or do you really care that you're about to change that person's life? And then, of course, the so important one is, am I actively trying to find new people? When my pipeline starts to kind of get dry, that's when I'm like, whoa, I gotta get moving. I don't just, close my business doors. I innovate, I renovate, and I try to find new ways. So, Jeff, self-reflection, there you are. Self-reflection and self-awareness in this business are keys to continued growth. Is it a perfect science? Absolutely not. But what I really want people to understand, that if you take a look at your business, right, today, take 30 minutes to sit down and say, can I improve in these areas? Where's my mindset right now? Am I forward thinking or am I negative thinking? And what can I do to change my PD? Maybe it's working for you. I don't know. But if it's not serving you, change. When it comes to social media, what tweaks can I implement now? Understanding that when it comes to social media, you might not see the return on investment right away. But, just recently, if you were my follower on Instagram, just from, I think, last week, I started changing things in the way that my account looked, just to see if it's something that would help my business. So I'm innovating, I'm renovating as I go, understanding it might be a process to get there. So ask yourself those questions and see if you can make some changes, especially when it comes to your call to actions and what is it that you're posting and what your content is. And then lastly, when it comes to inviting, if you're not getting the results that you feel you should be getting based on the amount of invites that you're doing, see if what you are saying in those invites is the issue, right? What can I change and how can I improve it? All these things you can all do today. How's that, Jeff?
It's fantastic. I love when you sprayed on the screen with being a super sleuth.
Yeah,
no, but in all seriousness, there's so many bullets out of this call that you could go back, and I know that coaches will go back and re-listen to this, because there is 8 years of learning that comes from this. And as you started this call, one of the pieces you shared was, this should be hard. This should be work if you want something to develop that's very rewarding. And this thought of renovating, I think, it's the innovating, reinventing. Life changes. When you're through changing, you're through, so that's just the reality of it. And that's a tough message sometimes for us to take. But I think the other side of that is that the change doesn't always have to come in one great big leap of a chasm. It's continuing, these small steps, the reflectiveness, as you said, and then applying those small pieces of action. And on your invite advice, I just thought those were just so spot on and pointed that people need to be asking themselves. And that's really the lifeblood of the business, at the end of the day. So some absolutely fantastic content, and I've been watching comments and the numbers on the call, and they're eating it up, and I just can imagine this is just going to be replayed and replayed. So thank you so much. Now, before we let you go, and I appreciate you noticed that I jumped on a minute ago because you called out my name, and I was just when Kristine calls out my name, I better jump. I better respond quickly, or else. But okay, so 8 years later, you were a practicing, attorney, large firm, doing lots of stuff. For a minute, just talk about, what all of this work and investment and renovating continually has done for you.
I mean, I could sit here and tell you all the things that our family's been able to do, which are pretty self-evident based on the fact that I'm home and the fact that I get to pick up my kids from school and all that. But just a little bit more kind of relevant to what's going on in our life right now. My grandmother's been sick, and I don't want to get emotional, but she's been sick since May. And the fact that my sister and I can be with her at whenever we want, at all times, and help with her medical care, to me is what makes this opportunity so unique and amazing, and that how I would never give up on it, because if someone else can have that peace of mind because they said yes to this opportunity, then I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep doing this. I had a new coach come in, and she knows she's probably watching right now. She's 3 weeks in the business, with her first few paychecks, was able to buy her kids new shoes. And I don't know about you, but you can keep everything that this business has allotted me, and just giving me that feeling of receiving that message is priceless. And so that's what this business has done for me.
Well, I mean, it's the most important stuff, right? You know, that we look for in life, and in creating those moments. And so I appreciate that a summation of 8 years is responded to in that way. So Christina, thank you so much. You are a superstar in all regards, and we appreciate just the incredible contribution you make to the network, and your willingness to be abundant and sharing. And that's a piece that I love about who we are as a company, is the open sharing of what we've learned with other people, and that tide rises all ships. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, coaches, an absolutely incredible call. I don't need to belabor what she said because she said it so well. I couldn't say it as well as she did. But the bottom line is this: we do have 1 week left, and bringing this back down to the now, and the importance of now is there is 1 week left. Many of you have set goals and things that you want to achieve before the end of the month. And even if you're behind in those goals, now's the time to take advantage of this. I remember a quote from Oprah, and I don't know who said it, but it was this concept of life rewards action. And it's the importance of taking action and doing what you know will move the needle in your business that's going to matter right now. And Christina gave you a great some insights, and particularly on the inviting as you go through the other parts of the renovation of your business and of your thinking. So take advantage of now. Make this week count. Invite. Share your enthusiasm authentically. Do that, and things will fall in place. So Sandy, with that, I'll toss it back to you. You can sing us out if you'd like, but maybe just take us out.
You know what? I've got an affirmation for today, and it couldn't be more perfect. No more as is, everybody. Change the world. We got all the feels this morning from Kristine. So have a great week, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.